Radio. Rahim here with Mikey Garcia, getting ready for Sergey Lipinets on March 10th. That fight is fast approaching, man, but it should have been here already. The delay because of his injury, it tends to upset camps, and you have to adjust your timing and when you're prepared and peaking. Was that an issue for you at all?
You know what? It wasn't much of an issue. Honestly, it's not gonna affect my camp. It didn't affect my camp. That week, on Monday, we did our first 10-round session of sparring, and Wednesday we found out that he might have had some problems with his hand. So we took Wednesday off, but we're back Friday sparring lighter rounds. We did 8 rounds, and the following week, same thing. We went back to 8s on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but that's all it did. It just slowed me down for those few days, and it's really not like it slowed me down. It was more just like take a little break. Then we're back in camp mode and picking up the pace, and I think we're in great shape. We're ahead of schedule because of that. So I think it actually worked out for my advantage.
Now, taking a fight at 140 is a challenge unto itself. I mean, you're climbing weight divisions. You were willing to challenge guys at 47. What is the challenge that Lipinets brings into the ring from a skill perspective?
Well, I mean, the number one thing, like I've always said, is the size. I started off at featherweight. I'm gradually moving up in weight class. My last fight was at 140 against Adrian Broner, so I got a good feel for that size difference. Sergey Lipinets definitely does bring that size, factor to the fight. But as far as the skills, I think I'm a better fighter, better timing, better boxing skill. I'm more polished in that way, and I think that's what's going to help me win my fight.
With the delay, it gave you a little bit more time with Brandon Rios as well. Obviously, your brother's training him, and he was looking really good. I saw him at his workout. He was positive. What's your reaction to how this fight ended with Garcia? And do you feel like Brandon has some place to go from here in the sport?
Look, we were obviously disappointed, with the result. I thought he was doing well in the fight. I thought he was in the fight. He had a few good rounds where he had Danny against the ropes, landing some combinations. I think he was surprising a lot of the fans that how well he was actually doing. He got caught with the right hand. That's boxing. It happens. But I think he was well in the fight where he has nothing to be ashamed of or anything like that. It's his decision what he wants to do with his career. He had already thought and flirted with the idea of retirement a couple years ago. Decided to come back. He looked good in his comeback. He takes on Danny Garcia and is doing fairly well. So I haven't spoken to him since the fight. I don't know what he plans on doing, but I'm pretty sure he could still fight if he wanted to, because like I said, he was doing fairly well. He might need a fight or two to get back in the groove of things, but he's definitely still going to be a name to be mentioned in the welterweight division right now.
Two fighters that are talked about when Mikey Garcia comes up, Lomachenko and Linares, can't seem to get it together, get a date set. Looks like Linares might be in your future. You have to start negotiations on that fight. What do you think, first of all, about them not being able to set a date, and are you excited to be able to slide in there and get Linares?
Well, the issues that I've heard, what I've read, are that the dates and the networks are mainly the problem. They want to do the same date, but in different venues, different networks, and that's the problem there. Well, if they can't get it together, I mean, I'm definitely willing to sit down with Jorge again, with Golden Boy, and hopefully we can secure that. If I don't have any injuries after my fight, if I don't have a cut or anything like that, then I would definitely, try to move on that as soon as possible. Knowing that they're having those difficulties matching that, getting that fight done, well, that leaves the door open, for me, at least until after the fight. We'll find out for sure how my fight goes. But that's a fight that I really would love. I would love a Jorge Linares fight, unification at 135. I think that's a fight that fight fans will enjoy the most. I think everybody's gonna be excited for that one. So I really hope we can still land that date.
Well, talking about you climbing weight divisions, a fight that's really anticipated beyond Lomachenko, you mentioned Errol Spence by the end of the year. Given a choice, would you rather face Spence or Lomachenko?
I would rather fight Spence. It's a bigger challenge, another weight class. People might not take me serious, but I'm coming to welterweight later. That's gonna be, that's not a question. That's gonna happen, whether it's at the end of this year or next year. I'm coming, so I gotta get done with these fights first at lightweight and super lightweight 140. But I'll be at welterweight soon, and if the opportunity is offered and presented by the end of this year, then I might be there even sooner than people expect. I would love to take on Spence or Thurman. Like I said, if you're gonna go challenge for a champion, then you might as well do it for the best against the best fighter. I don't want to take on just fights just to take easy fights. We want to have something that's exciting, something that motivates me. It's a title fight, that motivates me. If it's a big name, that would motivate me. And if it's Spence or Thurman, I think I can't ask for anything greater or bigger than that at welterweight. Those are the guys that are there. Those are the guys I want to have to face.
You took some time off for business reasons and were inactive. But when you came back, you were immediately facing tough competition, like we're talking about right now, going straight up in weight divisions, facing champions. How do you react to the kind of criticism that Thurman's getting right now after having a year layoff, clearly not wanting Spence, seeming to not even want another title holder in the ring against him? He's looking for tune-ups.
Look, I definitely see his point. He's having about a year layoff. He had surgery on his arm, on his elbow. So because of that, I think he's well in his place to ask for a tune-up fight. It's never the same to feel inside a boxing ring, training, sparring, than to actually know what it's like inside the fight, a real fight. So he might feel comfortable enough in training, but still maybe unsure of how he'll perform in a real fight with small gloves, no headgear, punches coming at you with everything they got. So I think it's okay for him to take a fight. He may feel that after one fight he's ready to get back in with whoever. He might need maybe 2 fights. We don't know. I really think he only needs 1. I think after this next fight, May, I think he's fighting in May. He doesn't have an opponent yet, but I think after the fight in May, I think he's going to realize that he's ready to fight against anybody, take on anybody. He's not going to say that right now. He hasn't said that. And I think the fight fan's a little too harsh, too soon, too quick. But, he's proven it already. He is unified champion. He did beat Danny. He's been the champion at welterweight. So you can't really bash the guy for asking for a lighter fight right now on his return. You got to take that into account.
There's another guy looking to break into the 147 division and make a lot of noise. He wants Errol Spence too. We're talking about Terence Crawford, and basically the one or the two of you might get this fight this year. How do you see that matchup going if it were to be Crawford and Spence?
Crawford is a terrific fighter. He has great boxing skills. He's got the stance on his left. He fights his left, the right. He can switch. He's got the height too to compete in size. It's not like me that I'm actually real short. He's tall, and he uses the height and reach to his advantages. So I think that would be a great matchup. That'd be a pretty close matchup, almost a toss-up. I don't know if he's gonna get it though, just because of the politics and the business. I'm sure he wants it, but if he's still with the same promoter, that makes it a little more difficult to get certain matchups. I know that the way that company works, and it's just they have their own agendas, and sometimes it's difficult for a fighter not to be able to get the fights because your promoter's not willing to work or just not doing business. But if they were to actually get it down and get the fight done, I think that'd be a terrific matchup. I think you're looking at Leonard and Hearns type of stuff, where they were just equally great fighters like that.
Who would you pick?
Damn, that's tough. I mean, the only reason I'm gonna go with who I'm gonna choose is because of a natural weight would be Spence, just because he's naturally a welterweight. And Crawford has been moving up from lightweight to super lightweight, now welterweight. That's the only thing that I would see. But other than that, I think they're pretty equally matched in every skill set. I mean, maybe the power and the size, like I said, natural 147 might edge, help Spence a little bit more. But I think it's almost a toss-up.
Lastly, there are 4 names that come up no matter who you're talking to, when they're talking about pound for pound number one, Lomachenko, Crawford, Spence, Garcia. What do you have, or what do you do that distinguishes you from that group that makes you the best of the four?
Well, you know what? I think when they talk about the pound for pound list, everybody has a different opinion on who's number 1, 2, 3, whatever. But we're all probably equally accomplished to be mentioned in the pound for pound list. I think a lot of people are very high on Lomachenko just because it's something that a lot of people haven't seen, the way he boxes with his speed and skills, and that obviously sets him apart. Crawford, ability to dominate his division easily, beating champions and making it look like nothing. I think that takes more, and I give him more credit than I do Lomachenko, so I place Crawford higher. With me, I think the fact that I'm moving up in weight classes, you know, up and down like that, like I'm doing, I think that's something that people can also, you know, look into and consider when deciding, you know, where to place a pound for pound. Eventually, I think by the end of my career, people, or maybe not even by the end, but just in a year or two, people will put me above all of them, because all the divisions that I will have accomplished, you know, to become world champion. I think that's when people will finally realize, you know, that what I'm doing right now was not just, you know, coincidence or you know, based on quality of opponents. It was my skills and my determination, my accomplishments that are allowing me to do what I'm doing. In a year or two, once I'm in the welterweight division and I'm winning titles there, that's when people will finally give me that credit that I think I deserve when it comes to the pound for pound list.